In terms of cases that have front and side tempered glass, popularly called fish tanks, we have loads of varieties of cases in terms of sizes, functionalities, and all the other stuff, right? Right here we have, I would say, the smallest of them all in terms of supporting ATX motherboard, supporting a huge graphic card, supporting a 360 radiator, and having more fans here at the bottom, blah, blah, blah. We'll get to that part. Right here we have SAMA SV-01 case, which has, as you already know, front and side tempered glass, has a support for a 360 radiator on top, comes with pre-installed four fans, three reversed on the side, and one regular here at the back. Now the cool thing, not all fish tank or with this design have a possibility to mount a 140 exhaust right here. So this is also quite interesting because we do get, as I stated, variety of cases such as this one. So let's start from the inner part first, and then we're gonna go to the back side. At the top, I mean, I'm skipping now, but to get to the inner part, we have to mention this. We have a magnetic dust filter where you can actually mount the 360 radiator. Now with the 360 radiator, this is somewhat a regular dimensions when we're talking about fan and radiator thickness. You do have to think and take into consideration the height of the RAMs. Now right here I have Kingston Fury Renegade DDR5 RGB, which are quite tall, but you still have a centimeter and a half space from a 360 radiator, so that is good. And when we're talking about EPS cables, honestly, if you even go with custom extenders or full sleeve cables or whatever, you honestly don't need EPS cables because they aren't visible in this segment right here. So in those terms, the radiator covers up the whole top part of the motherboard, including the connections when we're talking about PWM, addressable RGB headers, and the EPS connectors. So it kind of hides all of that at the top side. But of course, we're talking about something if you desire to go with visible cables, because this case also supports back connect, and not all cases in this form factor, let's put it form factor, have a support for back connect, so this is also outstanding. Now when we go a bit further, and what this case has support for three 120mm fans which are pre-installed. They are really cool because they actually have a nice mirror infinity look, and that's it. There's nothing else that you can place over there, because if you go with a long graphic card such as I did with the RTX 4080 Gaming X Trio, it actually almost touches the fans which are 25mm. So in terms of adding a radiator, if you in some sort of a scenario decide to go with a custom loop inside this case, because why not? It's a compact case and you could manage everything. You have to go with a shorter PCB, because actually when you take a look at it, the PCB of this card actually fits right here, and you can place a radiator in that segment. So in that scenario, 360 here on top, 360 on the side. But I do have to note, this is specifically for a custom loop where the GPU is shortened down with a water block. And then right here, you have a possibility to mount some sort of a pump res combo, or you can mount a 120mm fan, and the same thing happens here on the power supply shroud. Now, the power supply shroud is something that I stated in the past review that I really like, is an opening for the cable right here. So it almost has a waterfall effect, but we are talking about 12 VH PWR that needs to have this space right here, so it doesn't overbend, let's put it this way. It doesn't cause damage and burn up and all the other stuff, as you know what happens. So in those terms, this is really cool. An opening, if you don't want it, if you don't need it, you place two 120 fans right here on top, and that's it. Now with the back connect, you have loads of space at the back. I would say around 2 to 2.5 centimeters of clearance, which is more than enough if you go with a power supply that has those thin black flexible cables, which kind of gives you enough space to reroute them and connect them perfectly at the back. At the back, we also have one more thing which is quite cool. You have a controller for addressable RGB. So you can connect, well, the fans are already pre-connected. The addressable RGB is already pre-connected. You have a couple of more left to spare to connect fans on the AIO pump block top if it has addressable RGB and similar stuff like that. All in all, when you take a look at it, even with the cables, it looks quite nice, quite well organized. And at the back, you can do wonders because you do have loads of space here. Behind the motherboard, you have a special tray dedicated for either two 2.5-inch SSDs or two 3.5-inch hard drives. So they sacrificed the power supply shroud, used the space at the back because of the back connect, and added the possibility to place hard drives or SSDs or just a combination of one SSD and one hard drive, and gave enough room here to make it nicely visible and visually pleasing. So that's really nice. The front tempered glass and the side tempered glass are attached to the case with pegs, and you don't have to worry because the mechanism of the pegs is really strong, so you actually really need to be careful when pulling the tempered glass out, because sudden movement, you slip the tempered glass out of your hands and it breaks. So this holds the tempered glass perfectly, you don't have to worry. And the same thing is happening at the back as well. When we're talking about the back, the rear side has something interesting which not many cases have. Some of them do, but you have some, let's say, hinges where you can reroute the cables from the back and tie them up with zip ties to make the back side even more nicer than it already is. So we have 7 PCI expansion slots here at the back, and basically that is it. That is it. You can't move the side panel, but we're talking about pre-installed fans. We're talking about something that gives you simplicity. I would say this is most likely the easiest fish tank to build in, without a doubt. And it gives you straightforward access. What I did basically was just place the motherboard, place the AIO, GPU, power supply, done. That's it. The only thing that I needed to do is attach the extenders and just fiddle around a bit with cable management. But all in all, this build took me a bit more than a half an hour just to actually record everything and to check out the backside and to give you more information. But the cool thing is, even with this AIO, I didn't get, in some other cases, such great results when we're talking about benchmarks. But in this case, it actually did perform quite good, and I was surprised. So, with SAMA SV-01, and we have here Valkyr Sin 360 cooling down AMD Ryzen 9 7900X3D, and of course you already know the MSI RTX 4080 Gaming X Trio. In AIDA 64 Extreme Edition, CPU went up to 83 degrees, clock speed 4875, and the GPU went up to 67. The cool thing is, when we go to Cinebench, CPU goes up to 79, clock speed goes up to 5000 megahertz. So both of the values here in all 10 benchmarks is perfectly in line. So it doesn't go up, it doesn't go down. The clock speed eventually goes 4975 to 5025, but this is why I always mention average, so that's why we have 5000. And then when we go to the score, it starts at 26,583, it drops down to 26,000, just below 500, and then it sticks around 26,600, which is outstanding because in this small chassis, okay, we do have loads of fans, right? But we have 7 fans as in any regular ATX case, MIDI tower case, whatever. So in these terms, we're having a quite solid build, I do have to admit. There isn't any border or support for this one, and the case doesn't flex. How I noticed, I didn't even check visually. What I did is I just used the tempered glass, front tempered glass, and placed it where I didn't have the side tempered glass, just to see if it will fit perfectly without me trying to pull out the top part. It fits. It really does. The pegs go straight inside. There's no bending here on this top, even though it's not that thick of a steel as usual, right? So you would expect it to bend or flex or whatever, but it doesn't. So this is really good, and really nice, straightforward looking case, which really does do the job quite nicely. Moving forward, we have IO ports and connections and stuff like that. So we have power on button, we have an LED button, we have two USB 3.0, we have two 3.5mm jack. One is for your audio, for your headset, and one for your microphone. And we have one USB Type-C. So everything is there. You don't need anything extra. But currently the price is just outstanding. So you get 4 fans, 3 are reversed, 1 is regular. You can go with 140 here. You can place a 360 radiator on top. You can go with fairly long GPUs. Just eventually, if your GPU sags, I would only suggest grabbing an anti-sag bracket or some stand or whatever. Really doesn't matter. But the whole conclusion is this case goes for $84.99 currently. And this is today that I'm speaking. Of course, you have the link in the description so you can check out the price. So 85. Let's circle it around $85 for 4 fan combination, fish tank design, which some of you do love, some of you don't. It's all up to personal preferences. I don't go into that. But then what you also have is a controller at the back, which is quite cool and nice. And you have back connect. So guys, I think in these terms, when we take everything and the price, of course, Best Buy badge. I think this goes as a Best Buy badge because it's not flimsy, it's not bad, it's completely solid, nice design, really subtle visuals, and the small is definitely the smallest fish tank case that I've seen so far and that I had for review actually. I'm really digging this one without a doubt. So, guys, the one thing that I would like to note before anything is that do connect everything at the top before placing the radiator because you will have a bit problems accessing those ports. But this is why this case is so compact because they gave it a bit width and to place the radiator a bit further away so you can access the ports if you desire to do so in this scenario. That's all there is to it. Peace Crazy Best Buy badge. The links are in the description. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, and guys, see you very soon. Bye bye.